Welcome everyone, one and all. This is the 24th episode of the Unbanned podcast, and this week, I think we got a repeat. We're unbanning Once Upon a Time. We did this one.
It's a good
right?
choice.
We did it again.
Let us know in the comments on YouTube.
I think we've done it before. On the off chance that we have, I say we're unbanned Primeval Titan, because it may be okay to play in Modern. I don't want to spoil anything.
Or thinking of unbanning in Modern. When are we going to unban Splinter Twin?
Never. It's just never happening.
We will unban Splinter Twin when they actually unban Splinter Twin, and not a moment before. You heard it here. Tell Wizards.
Shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah, we know they're really big fans of our show.
Yeah, listen every week. It's very flattering.
Here's the thing. I have a dubious challenge signed by Mark Rosewater, so I'm basically his best friend.
It's true. He does have that. I've seen it with my own eyes. Speaking of dubious challengers, hi Justin. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic.
Jordan, what about you?
Not playing tempo, so it's a bad day. I'm kidding, I'm good.
We're going to do this really fast because we have quite a lot to talk about. It's been a busy Monday. Monday, March the 9th. And what have we been playing this week?
Oh boy, what have I been playing this week? Remember Garbage Fire from last week? Well, imagine Garbage Fire, but like with 2 more colors in it.
What's the win con of the deck, Justin?
It's
Why don't you
definitely
tell
Happily
us?
Ever After.
The Mad Lad actually did it.
I actually did it, and I actually won games with it.
So my thought process for that joke was that we would get together, build our lists, and then hit a timer and all start queuing at the same time, and whoever won first would win. But Justin is just...
I mean, we could still do that.
He's gung-ho about that jank and just did it.
I did. Well, here's the thing. Not to spoil anything, but Jake gave me the idea that I kind of thought about doing, but also I don't have the creativity to think about this stuff, to do some kind of show on my YouTube channel. And I just started doing research, and I'm gonna start it.
He's going to do things.
Here, you heard it now. You heard it now.
Hell yeah. Make it so.
Hours of my life gone over this deck.
The Jank Files. It's like the X-Files, but there's no aliens. So, just like the X-Files.
Into the Jankverse.
I'm done. Jordan, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing 3 decks, friends. We've been playing Urza, we've been playing Temur, and we've been playing Mono Red. I'm learning Dimir Urza because there's not any really good Izzet decks for me to play in Modern right now. So we're going with the next best thing, which is Blue-Black. I mean, I guess I can play Storm, but a person can only play so much Storm, unless you're Caleb Shearer or Drake or any of those people who play Storm
Jake
constantly.
can always play Storm. The only reason I don't play Storm for every tournament is that I genuinely believe that it is not worth playing Storm at every tournament.
I think you're right. You need to hit it when there's not that much hate around, but there's some players who just play it at every tournament.
Yeah,
and do well.
Caleb is a monster on Storm, and I admire him, but I feel like... And I shouldn't be talking shit, honestly. Like, I play Jund all the time. That's... Spoiler, that's what I played this week.
And then on Arena, I was just playing more Temur. Still learning that deck. I think I need to adjust it. And then Temur wasn't really working because everyone's playing the mid-range decks that out-mid-range each other. So I just played Red and hit them in the face, and that worked pretty well.
Yeah, I'm curious to maybe try, like, the mono white lists again. I feel like that's a clock that is really fast and could probably beat, like, Sultai and maybe Temur Adventures. I'm not sure.
I think you'd be better off playing Mono Red. It just has more ways to grind than Mono White does. Mono White's main thing is that it doesn't have much of an end game. I know this because I have a Mono White deck built at all times in case I get, like, one quest that's 750 gold where I need to play white cards.
It's literally the worst thing that can happen is when you see the word white in your quests, and you're just like, no!
Oh no, I have to play white or black? There's no...
And then you bust out your Teferis, and you're just like, alright, I guess I'll do it this way.
Yeah, I was like, I could play Esper, but I don't want to get Dream Trawlers. I'm just gonna make White Weenie. We got this.
Speaking of White Weenie, I haven't been playing White Weenie. There's no good segue, because nothing you guys play is similar to mine.
Yeah, Jake, just so you know, try not to use speaking of White Weenie as a segue.
I didn't think of that.
We're leaving that in.
Oh, I'm not taking it out. I'm not editing it. Okay, Jake, tell us about your adventures in Jund, which is pretty much just a typical weekend for you.
I went 3-2.
Deck is hard.
That's the whole... I always go 3-2 with Jund. One of these days I'll go 5-0. I'll be happy, and that'll be my Jund list.
Easy 5-0s? Bogles.
Honestly, it's tempting right now. It's really tempting.
Easy 5-0s.
I don't know about that.
I'm thinking about like what I played against. I can't think of anything I played against that would beat me with Bogles, except for Jund. I played the mirror match against Jund and I dumpstered them because they kept in their Discord spells.
I can tell you what will beat Bogles. There's a lot of engineered explosives around right now. Mostly in the Urza decks.
Yeah, Wizards hates Bogles, so...
It's mostly just the amount of engineered explosives and sacrifice things that are happening in the format.
I think everyone hates Bogles because it is a deck that is based around you not interacting with it at all, and it hitting you in the face with a stupid-looking 1/1.
I love that one.
I like
It's
Bogles
adorable.
when I play it, but if it was like the best deck of the format, it would be absolutely miserable.
I mean, it was for a minute.
It was a good meta
It was
choice
a
for
great
minute.
meta call for a weekend or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really kind of wish I sold the deck then so I could make a little bit of money off of it.
No,
And then just buy it again.
just keep it forever, and if we ever do a Team Modern tournament, we can play it.
Or I could play Living End.
Oh,
Esper Living
don't
End.
talk to me about Living In. That was one of my losses.
See, it's a good deck.
It's a very good deck, especially when people are playing Grafdigger's Cage. Other thing I played was... I started playing Red Black Sacrifice yesterday. I think it was... Oh man, was it Luis Salvato? I have to go find the article. Raphael Levy, sorry. Which is... I don't even think they're from the same country. Sorry, guys. Raphael Levy made a article about Rakdos Sacrifice, and I started playing it a little bit, and I'm really interested in tuning it. I think it's good against a lot of the mid-rangey lists on Arena and in Standard. So yeah, look for that. I'll probably post a video or list up soon.
Sorry to bring it back to vocals real quick, but Horizon Canopies being like $30 each is very nice now. Anybody else remember when they were like 90 a piece?
I don't want to talk about those times.
But now they're like 30. So we're back in $29.40 right now for a paper copy of Horizon Canopy from Iconic Masters.
But that does bring us back to Modern, which is a pretty good segue, right? Into what we're actually talking about this week.
Yeah, let's get into the main topic.
There's pretty much just one main topic this week, and that is there was a banned and restricted announcement. They announced the announcement. We announced that we would be talking about the announcement because we heard the announcement of the announcement.
And then the announcement happened, and now we are announcing what the announcement announced.
Exactly.
So I'll just give it a quick read for anyone who hasn't read it for some reason. As of March 9th, Brawl Golos, Tireless Pilgrim is banned in Brawl. In Historic, which no one cares about, and we'll get to that in a minute, Oko, Thief of Crowns, Once Upon a Time, and Veil of Summer have moved from suspended to banned, and the following cards are moved from suspended to legal, Field of the Dead. In Legacy, Underworld Breach has been banned, and in Modern, Once Upon a Time has been banned. And in Modern, Once Upon a Time has been banned.
Yay!
I do want to point out one thing that annoys me about this announcement.
Historic is on it?
It has to do with the historic part, because it says the following cards are moved from suspended to legal.
And there's only one card.
But there's only one card.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Let's start with the two that have the least amount of things to talk about. Brawl, I guess it makes sense. I don't play a lot of Brawl, but I've heard that Golos is quite popular. The one time I played Brawl last week, I played against Golos, so sure.
He's only a 5-color commander that fixes your mana for you, is a value engine, can go get another value engine in the form of Field of the Dead, and is also a 5-color commander. That one is very important.
And he's a scout.
Oh yeah, and is a scout.
Yeah, you can't have scouts, obviously.
But yeah, apparently it was 10% of the field, which was double the next closest person.
Which is rough when you're queuing up. Like, if you're just playing Brawl casually at tabletop level, then, that's not that big of a deal. You're just like, hey man, don't bring your Golos deck. But since Brawl pretty much only lives on MTGA, it's not very cool.
Yeah, honestly, if you play Brawl on paper, like paper cards, DM me on Twitter. I want to know who you are.
Yeah, I'd love to meet
I've
you as well.
never seen someone play Brawl in person.
Guys, remember Oathbreaker?
Oh, dude, that format's awesome. I really wish it was more popular.
Guys, I'm learning something today.
What?
What?
There are a lot of scouts in Magic.
Do you know what I'm learning? You have
What?
ADD.
Sorry, I pointed out that there was a scout, and then I learned that there are 144 creatures that are also scouts.
This is not even the Unbanned podcast. This is Justin's Google hour.
It's Justin's Google
Hey,
hour.
Scryfall.
A Scryfall hour. Yeah. Dude, Scryfall needs a podcast where they just talk about different cards. Hey, Scryfall, if you want to start up a second podcast, let me know. I'll do that.
The Scryfall. Fix your site first, then start a podcast.
Historic, I'll talk about, because I actually kind of like Historic. The following cards are moved from suspended to banned. Oko, Once Upon a Time, Veil of Summer. So they did this thing that's kind of like restricted, where they suspended the cards. And then they wanted to look at what the format looked like without them, I guess, and then ban them. I kind of like that they did that. I want to see them do that in other formats to some extent, honestly. I think they're trying it with Historic and seeing how it works.
I absolutely love this idea of saying Once Upon a Time has been suspended. We're going to look at the format without it for a little bit, and then if it's good, it'll come back in, and if it's good, it'll get banned. If it doesn't really change anything, we'll bring it back in. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for a physical game, which is probably why they haven't done it before.
Yeah, it makes things really bad if you have physical cards.
And I could be wrong about this, but I don't think they ever mentioned when they suspended these cards that them being banned would become a thing. They just introduced this idea of suspensions, and just now we're saying, okay, we're going to ban them permanently.
Yeah, it was kind of weird that they didn't explain it a little bit better what that meant. I kind of got it, but because they did a little explaining, but it's a little weird. It's a little bit of a weird system.
This is Jake's rant hour, apparently. Historic is not a real format. There's no tournaments for it. There's no ranked play for it. They aren't giving you outlets to play it.
Hey, don't say that. Historic Ranked comes back this month.
Okay, so they are now giving me an outlet to play it. But basically, none of these suspensions or bans in Historic have any actual effect on any of their tournaments, any of their esports play. The MPL's not playing Historic. So these bans and restrictions don't mean anything. And on top of that, I understand there's a community for Historic. I see the articles, I see people playing it on stream. It's not that big.
So I like Historic. I like the idea of this different format that we can play. The only problem is that I kind of have to weigh it against, do I like it more than just playing Pioneer or Modern? Or even Legacy? Because I think Historic was good when you didn't know if Pioneer was going to be a thing on MTGA, but it's pretty clear that we're going to get Pioneer on MTGA now. So now it kind of has to find its own identity, which is why I think they're printing some really weird and ridiculous cards into it, is to try to give it its own thing so it can still exist.
I don't even think that's true. I think they're printing weird cards into it because they are trying to put Vintage Cube on Arena. All of the cards they printed are also in the cube, so that's why they're doing that.
That might not be that bad, though, because it means that you get to play with, like, really odd stuff like Gitrog with Field of the Dead, but also we have, I can't remember the other stuff that they put in. We've got, like, weirdly modern Soul Sisters, which also is in the format. Like it's kind of cool to see these.
Yes, it was.
Huh? Yeah, Gitrog's in it.
Where?
They printed him into Brawl, and so added him to Historic.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically,
Stupid.
the way Historic works is that if there is a card on MTGA, pretty much, it's in Historic, with the exception of like the Power 9 that they put in for that one event.
That really would be interesting.
I kind of want them to print the Power 9 into Historic and just say that, yeah, these are legal now.
It's just ruin everything.
No, it would not ruin it. It would make it so cool because you'd have this vintage-like format, this powered format, that doesn't have the payoffs. Like, there's combo decks in Historic for sure, but it'd be like the best you could do would be like Kethis combo, which is really powerful.
It'd be kind of like old school or something like that.
Yeah, well, the other thing about old school is that nothing's banned in old school because the idea is that they want you to be able to play all those cards. Just having a format that's got bans but is like vintage sounds very appealing to me. And also, you don't have to worry about the reserve list because it's digital, so that's nice.
Yeah, that is nice. I still don't like the format. I think it just needs to not be a thing, and it should just be Pioneer. I think the only reason that it's not just Pioneer is because they they don't have the capacity to actually put Pioneer on Arena yet.
Yeah, they're working on it. I like it though. I want there to be multiple different formats to play, and it's like if I get to the point where I have all the standard stuff I want and I have all the Pioneer stuff I want, then I want to be able to go, oh, okay, well, I'll build a historic deck. This could be fun, and then get into that, play some games, learn some things,
Hey,
and then, But we really do need to get on to other things. So, Oko Thief of Crowns, Once Upon a Time, Veil of Summer, banned now. I don't think we need to explain why those 3 got banned. And then Field of the Dead is now legal, probably so you can play it with the Gitrog monster decks.
they're
That's pretty
printing
cool.
Ghost Quarter and some other land destruction spell that I can't remember into the format, so they're hoping that'll fix Field of the Dead. More interestingly, Underworld Breach banned in Legacy. It's been doing things for like 2 weeks.
And it's not good.
I am so shocked that they banned it that early. Like, I get it. It's a busted ass card, but that was fast.
In Legacy especially, though, the fact that it's a value engine as well in Legacy cannot be understated. Even if they ban the combo pieces, or like even if people force of will the combo pieces, you can grind for days with Underworld.
Yeah,
Breach.
it's true. Just casting like 3 brainstorms from your yard.
That's enough to get you right back into the game.
Or I guess more like a brainstorm, a ponder, and then another brainstorm.
Yeah, because you don't want to brainstorm 3 times in a row.
Maybe
Or
you
do you?
I don't know. How many
Maybe.
fetches can
Do
you
you have
play?
3 fetches on the field? Yeah.
Are you playing lands? Do you have like just, I don't know.
Justin, where do you sit on the triple brainstorm debates?
Excuse me? What did I just miss?
Justin wasn't paying attention.
All right, let's move on to something Justin can talk about. We can't really talk about Legacy either. We're working on it.
This week, we're playing Legacy. We got distracted by the
We
bans.
might be able to actually do a Legacy episode.
Let's say this weekend will probably be the earliest I will try and get Legacy going.
Justin's so busy.
Modern, Once Upon a Time is banned. Poor Uat.
Good.
Banned in pretty much every format except for Legacy and Vintage now.
Good.
Can we just start this off with the truth of this card? This card shouldn't have ever existed. It was a nice experiment, but the things it does to Magic are not okay.
I saw actually a really good... We've talked about why the card can't really exist before and why it is getting banned. It's too good. Casting the spell for free is insane. It gives you more consistency. It's good after its first cast because, hey, it's still a good cantrip. I like this card as a cantrip. And I saw someone on Twitter say they should have made it so that the first time you cast it, it was 1 green.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then it would just be a fun card, right? That would have been so much better. It might have still been too good for standard, but...
Yeah, I don't think that's too good for Modern, though, because that's Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, it's basically Ancient Stirrings, but instead of colorless, you can get a creature.
It's a lot more widespread.
Yeah, but I think that's fine. Like, I think... And I'm kind of sad that 4-color Shadow won't get to run this anymore, but a lot of the 4-color Shadow and Jund Shadow lists were running a lot of Once Upon a Time, and it's because they're so threat light that they need to find those threats in order to be effective, and this card kind of did that for them, in a way that wasn't completely busted. Nothing that deck is doing is really broken or busted, so it makes sense. Having a cantrip that isn't, like, Oath of Nissa that could hit these things would be, I think, a net positive for Modern. It's just probably too good for Standard, might be too good for Pioneer, and shouldn't be free the first time you cast it.
Yeah, free spells are insane.
Yeah.
I also would like to point out that we actually mentioned in a previous episode, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before that Once Upon a Time was the second most played card in Modern, right behind Lightning Bolt. That's kind of a big deal that a new card was adopted that readily. Like, all these decks were running green just because Once Upon a Time gave them so much consistency. I think, honestly, if we had the old Mulligan rule, it might not have been that bad. But Once Upon a Time combined with the London Mulligan, you just hit the pieces you needed way too often. It made you have to play green.
On top of that, I think it had moved to being the most popular card by the time they banned it.
Even better than Bolt, man. That's nuts.
Even at this point, I still don't like the London Mulligan.
Why go into it?
It just enables these combo-centric decks way too easily. I don't know, I have such a problem with it.
I can see why you have that feeling. I definitely find myself mulliganing more because of the London Mulligan and because of this ability to just say, I'm going to have a better 6 than my 7. But I think that the net positive for Magic is so much that it just is worth having modern combo decks being a little bit more consistent, or Legacy being a little bit more consistent. I think that with cards like Once Upon a Time banned, and them learning that lesson of, oh, this kind of consistency is not okay, I think we will see less of the London Mulligan enabling these things.
Yeah, I do understand the positives of it, though, is nobody likes to mull down to 4 and just sit there and do nothing the entire game.
Yeah, I'd rather get comboed out on turn 3 more often and play more Tron than have more games where I go, all right, let's mull to 5. I have a single land. Oh boy.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it just takes a lot more variant out of the game.
Yeah, and yeah. I think Magic needs variance to a point, but if you're saying that we can prevent a final match like the one Luis Scott Vargas had, where he mulled down to 4 and then just had to say, like, that's it, I think it's worth it just from, like, a general game perspective, because not everyone is playing Modern, and you have to keep that in mind. Like, maybe Modern and Legacy just have to take the hit of the London Mulligan, so the other 3 or 4 formats that are played in tournaments are better for everyone.
Yeah, I get that.
Another thing, really quick, because we don't want to go down the London Mulligan rabbit hole too far, because you can get into math. This subject goes really deep, because it affects all.
I also have like 7 decks I want to talk about.
Some people have said that you could also just have different Mulligan rules for different formats. I think that might be a little too complicated, but it is something we could look at. Like, maybe Modern is better with a standard, the old Mulligan, the Paris Mulligan or whatever. No, wait, Partial Paris is the one where you put cards back. I can't remember what the old Mulligan's called.
I believe it was the Paris Mulligan.
Was it Vancouver?
Vancouver, yeah. I think it's Vancouver Mulligan. But yeah, you could, in theory, have different Mulligans for different formats. And I'm sure casual players really don't care that the London Mulligan exists. If they don't like it, they'll play with the old Mulligan.
This is true.
Or Commander players,
I think there's a reason to not have multiple different Mulligans for multiple different formats.
Yeah, it makes it simpler. That is a problem.
I think it's important to bring up the London Mulligan, because one of the decks I want to talk about that got hit by this banning is actually Neo Brand.
Oh yeah, Neo Brand having access to Once Upon a Time is something that I'm glad that's not a thing anymore, is what I'm saying.
Here's what's interesting is this deck went 7-0 in the Modern Challenge. Very good run. And the deck just keeps getting more and more consistent. It was only running one single Once Upon a Time. And I think the idea was you actually mold until you hit it.
I could see it.
That is terrifying. Also, I don't know what they need to ban from Neo Brand to make this deck not exist anymore.
Allosaurus Rider.
But I'm serious. Like, just ban one card from the deck. It is not worth leaving the format. There's not that many people playing it. On the occasion that you do run up against it, it's just the worst experience that you'll ever have in Magic. And then when, like, let's say for a second this deck becomes good. Modern is ruined for the entirety that this deck is good. Because you'll have, even if it's just like the top 3 decks, you have a 1 in 3 chance of just not playing games of Magic that day. That is stupid.
Yeah, I think Neo Brand will always be an outlier, and eventually it'll just break, and they will probably ban, I don't know, maybe Gristle Brand is what you would ban from it if you just absolutely want to kill the deck, because there's no way for this deck to actually work without that. The other one that I saw, and someone was basically saying, should they have banned Titan, Primeval Titan, instead of Once Upon a Time? And they were saying that no, you can't actually ban, I think it was Pascal Maynard over on Star City. No, Patrick Sullivan. There was a discussion over on Star City in Fact or Fiction where, and it's premium content, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but basically they were talking about if you should have banned Titan, Primeval Titan, instead of Once Upon a Time, and Patrick Sullivan said that it made no sense to ban Primeval Titan because they would just play the next big thing, and what they would want to ban instead would be Summoner's Pact. Well, guess what Neo Brand plays 4 of? Summoner's Pact. And I think that would be a much better hit against something like Amulet Titan than Titan or Azusa or anything in the deck, just getting rid of that consistency of being able to find your Titan every time you need it. And it would also kill Neobrand.
You know, Neobrand plays a specific one of that should get banned.
What's that?
Island.
Yeah, ban islands immediately. Am I right?
All right. Neobrand, gross deck, but let's talk about the big loser here. Amulet Titan. I think this deck is still playable, honestly, but
it is definitely still
Yeah.
playable. Don't even think that Primeval Titan's completely gone. It's still a very playable deck. It's just not going to be the top of the format anymore, I should say.
Wasn't it the best deck for a while without it?
No, it was once Upon a Time came in, and then Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Pretty much those two cards boosted it up to the top. And it was starting to fall down a bit, so I don't think it was broken. I think they just realized that Once Upon a Time would always be a problem, so they took this opportunity to ban.
I was looking at rebuilding this list, and I don't think that you can take the standard Dryad of the Elysian Grove, Hanware Garrison running, like, more grindy list and just throw Ancient Stirrings into it. I don't think that works. But I think you can build this list exactly as it is and just slot in either 4 more lands or maybe explores or something like Growth Spiral could be good too. I'm not sure what you want in this. I'm not an amulet expert, but I think that this list is still basically untouched by the Once Upon a Time banning. I don't think it actually hurts it that much.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Again, I'm pretty sure this was a deck just before Throne of
I
Eldraine.
remember they unbanned Stoneforge Mystic, and Amulet got a lot of play because it was good in that format. Everyone was trying to be fair, and it was just way faster than everyone.
Honestly, I like that a lot. So we mentioned last week that mid-range mirrors can get really degenerate. Not like where you die quickly, but where each person is just trying to go bigger than the next person. So it's like, oh, well, you're playing 4 Hydroid Krasis. Well, I'm going to play 4 Hydroid Krasis and a Teferi. And you just keep trying to one-up each other as far as how far you can grind. Decks like Amulet Titan and Storm help keep that in check. Because if you're trying to grind a lot, well, I'm going to hit you for 20 with a big Titan on turn 3 and kill you. So you can't go 100% towards grinding.
As the mid-range grindy deck that's able to run Fulminator Mage, you can play Titan all you want.
Yes, but you have to run answers. If it was just mid-range v mid-range, you wouldn't run Fulminator. You would run something that gets you
Honestly,
cards.
like, against Jund with Amulet, you most of the time don't even do the combo. You just try to get, like, your Field of the Dead and just start doing that.
Yeah. That's the other big get that Titan got that kind of pushed it up to the top again was Field of the Dead. So it still has that, and it still can play Field of the Dead and Valakut in the same deck with the Titan combo. So I think we're still going to see some Titans around. I don't think it's completely dead, not even close.
For sure. Okay, other loser of this banning, the Tron decks. More Eldrazi Tron than Mono Green, but Mono Green was playing this card a little bit, I think. Oh no, this version's not even running it. So yeah, I don't think Mono Green Tron really lost anything. It's probably the preferred list now, I think.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. I know that Tron is still good, because Tron's always going to be good. Like, if you want to buy a modern deck and you like big mana, just buy Tron. Just go buy it right now, because it's always good. It's always a good choice. It's just whether or not you're playing Eldrazi Tron or Mono Green. I think with what's being played right now, where everything's a little more fair, I think I prefer Eldrazi Tron a little bit, because it grinds better.
No.
Whereas with Mono Green, you're kind of all in.
No, it does not.
No?
No.
You don't think so? I'm not an expert on either deck. So.
Eldrazi Tron is a disruptive, like, ramp deck, basically. You play Eldrazi Tron when people are trying to... Like it's better against, for example, like Storm or Burn, or it's better against non-interactive decks than Mono Green Tron is, because you have things in your main deck that can interact with those. Thought Knot, Seer, Chalice, even Matter Reshaper is not great, but it actually puts a small clock on your opponent. Mono Green Tron is good in formats where people are trying to be fair, because you just do your thing and you go over top of all of them.
But is Tron still good right now? Because things are probably going to be pretty fair, because they were pretty fair with Titan. But I don't know that I think I don't know that Mono Green Tron would be better. Just because the Prowess decks are still around, and they eat Mono Green Tron for breakfast. Urza is going to destroy you.
Hold on, I actually disagree with that. I think Urza has an awful Tron matchup. I don't see what your deck does against Tron to actually stop it from doing anything that Tron does.
So here's the plan. You either A, hold on and counter their big spell once they play it, and then you get a turn or two, or B, you combo them on turn 3 and win.
See, but Dimir Urza is not set up to turn 3 combo win.
Yes, it is.
It has the ability to do that.
If your opponent's not trying to interact with you, it can set it up pretty easily.
You can't win on turn 3 through a Karn the Great Creator. They have a main deck hate spell against your deck.
Karn the Great Creator?
Yeah.
So just counter Karn and then you move on.
We might have to do some reps. I might have to show you the truth of Tron.
Don't think you want to be all in on stuff like Karn right now. I think that there's enough good answers in the format and there's enough decks running them that you're going to get taken apart. And Mono Red is always out there hunting.
I think that the only reason E-Tron was seeing more play than regular Mono Green Tron was because of their ability to play Once Upon a Time and get that consistency. I think that the disruptive elements of E-Tron are going to be worse as we move towards a more fair and normal format that doesn't really care that much about Chalice of the Void.
I think you're overestimating how much E-Tron cares about Chalice. It isn't playing that. It isn't playing Eldrazi for Chalice. That is a good piece.
That's the main
not
reason
the
I would
you're
play
playing the deck.
Eldrazi Tron, is if I thought Chalice was good.
We could discuss this all day, but we should move on to maybe another deck that wins off of this.
Wins? Hold on, I have 2 more losers. 4-color Death Shadow, it loses. It's not that big of a deal. It'll figure something out. But it's going to miss that card, to be honest. I think it was a good card for the deck, and it's going to miss it. Infect. Infect saw like a slight resurgence because of Once Upon a Time. It was a 4 of. It kind of sucks, because I think Infect's quite a fair deck.
Infect?
Never have I ever heard
It's
that.
No,
not-
Infect
it's
is
not
the
fair.
opposite of a
I
fair
should say
deck.
it's not fair as in like, oh, it's Jund, it's interacting, but it doesn't feel like horrendously busted.
Infect is a lot like Burn. It's one of those decks that you play when it's good, and I know there are some people who really love Infect, so if you're one of those hardcore Infect players, you keep doing you. Don't mind me, but it's one of those decks kind of like Burn that you can play it at every tournament and you'll do well. But it has some metas where it just does really, really well. If linear strategies are doing well, Infect's usually the best one. The problem is that for what reason in this format would I play Infect over Mono Red? And I don't think it lost that much. Once Upon a Time made it good, but the deck was reasonable before.
I think it was reasonable. I think it's just gone back to being reasonable. I think that Once Upon a Time made it more than reasonable. I think it legitimately was a great deck in Modern, and now it's just a good deck in Modern.
So those are the 2 losers. What do we think wins off of this? Like, what is going to see more play?
It's hard to tell.
I can tell you one. Urza's going to see a lot more
Urza?
play.
So to say, pretty much everything that isn't playing Once Upon a Time feels like.
If you weren't playing it Once Upon a Time, obviously your deck gets better in comparison to the other decks getting worse. Now you don't have to invest in them. I specifically like Urza, and that's kind of why I chose Urza to start learning and to buy, because as things get fair, Urza really likes fair, because it is a control deck with a combo finish, so it can grind out, and it can also just kill you on turn 3 when it needs to.
Ironically, I think that Amulet Titan gets like a little bit of equity in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, because no one's going to expect it to do well, because it's just got
because
card
people
banned.
are going to underestimate it, and they're going to think it's not going to be able to do its thing, and it's still going to.
Yeah.
I am excited to play Jund in the new format because I think it'll still be good. I honestly don't think this banning is like the big, huge shakeup that a lot of other bannings have been. Like when Oko went, it changed the entire face of the format. Banning Once Upon a Time was kind of like a quality of life update. Like you don't have to play this card in your decks anymore. Congrats. You can play other different cards.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I want to point out, I think Dredge is a good pick over the next couple of weeks.
If you have the capacity to play Dredge at your next like big tournament, like your PTQ or anything like that, I would hit it. I don't think people are prepped for Dredge. They aren't respecting it, and you'll probably win.
Same goes for the Jeskai Breach Urza decks.
I think Breach actually might get a lot off of this, because Breach is something that's new. People don't really know how to react to it, and Amulet did a pretty good job of actually beating it down.
The other thing is that people are going to be adjusting, so any degeneracy can slip in between the cracks of people adjusting their deck.
So I guess Storm probably, gets some value.
Oh, I might have to go play a Storm League tomorrow.
Burn probably gets some value while people are adjusting too. But overall, I would honestly expect us to end up with like Jund, Titan, Urza, Burn, Dredge, Tron, all of those near the top still. I don't think we really shift that much in Modern.
Yeah, I would recommend anyone listening to this do what I always do. While everyone else is making a plan, I hit them in the face.
It's a solid strategy in Magic, honestly.
Everyone else is trying to metagame. I will hit you in the face. That's what we do.
If Titan goes away, Grixis Death Shadow actually seems like a solid play again too.
Yeah, that's true, because that was not a good matchup for Grixis Death Shadow.
No, not really. You didn't... I mean, I guess you could stub them and maybe stop their Titan, but if they resolved a Titan, you had no way of removing it, no way of dealing with it at all.
You'd have to chump with a Death Shadow,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah, you kind of just had to combo kill them with a Shadow. That was about it.
So I guess we're all playing some Modern this upcoming week. Justin, what's the jank side of things look now that Once Upon a Time is banned? Does this change anything in your plays?
I mean, I've never completely worried about other decks like I know you should, but I've always just been I want to play what I want to play. I'm not much of a metagamer,
It's true. So if you're a casual player or you just enjoy jank like Justin, then play what you will. Who cares that Once Upon a Time got banned? Unless you were running it in your Temur Phoenix list like I was.
I mean, it's not who cares if it got banned. It's more like, hey, now I might see some more fun change up in the format.
I'm interested to see what emerges out of this, especially with new sets coming up. Ikoria is apparently going to be a big one, so we'll see what happens. I'm excited but nervous. I'm just looking forward to the future, I should probably, choose my deck based on now. Oh wait, I already did. I'm playing Dimir Urza.
I'm going to be playing more Jund for now. I found a few crazy lists on the MTGO deck dumps, and I want to try a couple of them, and I have some like weird snow lists that I want to try too, but pretty much just Jund. That's what I'm playing this week.
It's a good deck. Justin, what are you going to be playing this week?
Ooh, I don't know. If we're thinking Modern, Unexpected Results is always a fun deck to play. People get really mad at you in MTGO, but nothing feels better than a turn 3 Emrakul.
Says every Through the Breach player or Gory Vengeance player.
It's a cast Emrakul.
So dope. That deck is really sweet.
Yeah, I might have to play some janky stuff this week. I have never once played the black-red Unearth decks, and I think I have to at some point.
But do you?
Probably not, to be honest.
Do you have to subject yourself to that?
I want to, and I also don't want to, if that makes sense.
Jake has an addiction. His addiction is making his opponent discard cards.
I thought you were going to say more cowbell.
My addiction is actually to Pyromancer, Young Pyromancer and Seasoned Pyromancer, and there's no good shells for them right now aside from Jund.
While we're speculating on decks, can I talk about the deck that I most want to play with Underworld Breach before it gets... Maybe it will get banned, I'm not sure. But everyone's playing Jeskai Urza. If you're running Jeskai, I think you should run Jeskai Ascendancy with Underworld Breach. Because the reason why those decks didn't work was because you would fizzle out. So you needed Treasure Cruise to keep casting spells. Well, guess what? You've got a 2-mana card that says you never run out of spells now.
Wait, which card never says you never run out of spells?
Underworld Breach.
Underworld Breach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gross.
The other thing that really killed Jeskai Ascendancy was Git Probe getting banned. So that might be part of it as well, is that, not having that 2-mana spell to start up your thing.
You mean 2-life spell.
Oh yeah, 2-life, my bad. But there are other Phyrexian mana spells you could play, like Gutshot. So, maybe that's not that big of a deal. If you have something like Treasure Cruise to refill, which Underworld Breach fills that role.
Guess we'd have to see. Sounds like you need to start brewing.
I might have to go build it, because I have a build of Underworld Breach or a build of Jeskai Ascendancy I really like playing sometimes, but, haven't broken it out since it's only okay.
Well, I think we are about done for the week, unless you guys have anything else to say.
I think we've talked about all the bannings and stuff. We lived up to our name this week. We talked about unbanned stuff and banned stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's about time, but before we put this poor, beautiful free cantrip to rest, Justin, he is dubious_Justin on Twitter, at dubious_Challenger on Twitch TV and YouTube. He actually has YouTube content going up soon. Go watch him.
Yeah.
That isn't Need for Speed.
Hey, calm down. Good game. Play it.
Jordan, he is It Fox on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. He is that everywhere. Go follow him. He's great. He's our Fox. And he's
I stream
very
sometimes.
Izzy. He sometimes streams.
Also, I'm not very Izzity. I need to go play some Izzet decks on stream. Been playing Urza.
You smile a lot more when you play those Izzet decks.
I'll probably just have to go play Legacy or Pauper. That way I can play good Izzet decks. Or Storm.
And I've been Jake. I'm Jake the Jackal everywhere. I do the tweets, I do the Twitches, I do the YouTubes. Did a couple of leagues and posted them on YouTube this week. They've been doing pretty well. And we have been the Unbanned Podcast. If you like what we are doing here, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/unbannedcast. Throw us $1. You can come hang out with us in our Discord, the one we're recording in right now.
Ooh, you can watch us on Discord. Record. You won't hear us, but you can see our names in the chat room.
They won't be able to see the chat room because it's an admin-only room, but... Yeah, come see us.
You can't see our names? You can't see our names?
It's hidden.
That's
It's really cool, actually. I love it. Anyway, thank you all once again for listening. And before we go, we're banning Once Upon a Time. Goodbye, old friend. Hey, it was my friend. I liked it.
Yeah, I loved playing Once Upon a Time. In Temur Phoenix, you used it as a free spell in
Or
Pioneer.
You could just use it to, cast Oko. We'll see you guys next week.
I'll make Phoenix work.
One of these days.
Bye.
Bye.